There have been a lot of different recommendations made about the best domain name to purchase for your brand. And a lot of times that advice is pretty misplaced. This is about your brand. You want to build your brand on this domain name. You want to build your reach.
Welcome back to the Sterling Family Law Show. Today we are continuing our in-depth exploration of website structure and SEO for family law firms. We have the co-founder of our own law firm, Sterling Lawyers, Anthony Carls, with us today, as well as our head of web development, Nick Perot. And today we're going to talk about top-level domain structure as well as landing page strategies. Our first topic is top-level domain structure. When I read this, Nick, I was like, what does that even mean? Give us a little preview on what it means and why it's so important to think through this as you're either rebranding or building a new website or building your firm from scratch.
Yep. So top-level domain, the TLD, it's often abbreviated as. This is the very end of your domain name. So you have domain name and then TLD. So .com, .net, .us, .co.uk, all that. Those are top-level domains. And the real key here from a top-level domain standpoint is that you want to choose the top-level domain that has the most authority in your space. Now, generally, that is the best top-level domain is .com. No questions asked. Like, that is still the best top-level domain. Sure, if you're in the AI space. They carry a certain semantic expectation. So that top-level domain, it does translate to some meaning in the eyes of the searcher, the consumer. So you want to find a top-level domain with .com being the best choice typically, but something in the space that you're in. So it might be .law, .lawyer. You want to keep it authoritative to what you do. I feel like I should say something about the domain name itself. I think over the course of search engine optimization and its impact on the web, there have been a lot of different recommendations made about the best domain name to purchase for your brand. And a lot of times that advice is pretty misplaced these days. So things like get the location in your domain. Well, that's not a great domain name for a number of reasons, but chief among those reasons is it does not allow you to grow outside of your current location. So I really want to emphasize that you should not limit yourself by choosing a really specific domain name. This is about your brand. You want to build your brand on this domain name. You want to build your reach, and don't limit yourself to location-specific domains. It can be a real pain to try and clean up.
The worst thing that happens is you buy PhoenixDivorceAttorney.com and you grow so big that you can't be in Phoenix anymore.
That's right.
Yeah, or you try to rank in a city that's next to it. Like it's going to have a negative impact. So like it's not really the point of this podcast, but it's actually a really important point.
Anything but location.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Our second point is build a simple, logical URL structure around your core services.
Yeah. So your URLs should have a folder structure that has meaning built in. You think of this like basically a file system for your website, and you want a nice, neat, tidy, organized file system. So that's saying something like you have your main domain. You are operating in, say, Wisconsin and Illinois. Okay, your first most important folder is the state. From there, each state is going to have a divorce page. It's going to have a child custody page. It's going to have an alimony page, something like that. That structure is going to be repeated and logical and convey meaning just from a URL alone. I know where I am. I know where I am relative to other things like it. And the search engines are great at parsing the folder structure to understand what the topic is about. So it helps reinforce that authority, that meaning.
Yeah. Another way to think of it is if you downloaded your folder structure and you just looked at it, can you infer meaning about your website? Because if you can't, you don't have a good folder structure, and you're likely somewhere in there actually competing with yourself, and you don't know it because you haven't communicated effectively. Like this is one of the things that we see on just about every site that we see. We see tons of sites that only have first level folders. Like every single page is a first level folder. So if I pull a folder structure and I look at it, it's .com / every single URL right next to that .com, which means to the eyes of Google, every single page there is just as important as every other page, or none of these pages are more important than any other page. That's like the inverse of what you're saying is true. So there's no hierarchy. It's just a flat structure, and you can't infer any meaning from it. So if you're not doing a really, really, really good job doing backlinking to all of those pages in the correct priority and context, which most sites do not do, you are not going to rank where you want to rank. And it's because you're going to have to do it. Since you don't have a good folder structure, you're going to have to augment it somewhere else. One is going to be backlinks, and the other is going to be internal links. So you can still do it, but the reality is it's going to be more work and much harder. And it doesn't scale as well. It's confusing from a UI UX perspective, especially if you start going into different states and you want to keep a clean, organized structure for your users to navigate through, or for your team to navigate through on a CMS perspective. There's so many different ways that this not doing this well creates confusion and potential problems.
Yeah, I would say one of the symptoms of this sort of flattened structure, where everything is on the root of the domain. We tend to find multiple pages that are effectively covering the same topic from a search standpoint. It's really easy to go, oh, we need a page for that, and then create a page you already have and name it something that's close to what it was already named. It gets really hard to pick out, okay, what is the most important thing, to your point.
Is this general upkeep? Like, how can firms know if they have a good file structure or not?
If you can look at your file structure, you look in your URL bar and see if there are multiple levels and that they do have a semantic meaning. I would really say, like, follow state first, service second sort of mentality. That's a great way to tell if it's a good service structure.
And a good way to look at it, like a quick view, a lot of WordPress CMSs, if you go look at your sitemap, you're going to see whether or not it's organized in any type of folder structure anyway. You can just sort it, on kind of the default one from WordPress. You can sort it top to bottom, A to Z. And you can see if you have a folder structure at all. If you don't, it's just going to be like everything's just kind of there, all at the top level root. Other ones will make it a little more pretty from an HTML perspective, but you'll be able to see whether or not there's any type of folder structure there. And if you're looking at it and you can't infer, like, ask a question, like, which page is about, my city and divorce lawyer? And you're probably going to find you have like 4 or 5 pages that claim to all be about the same exact thing. So it's really important, because like you're gonna dilute your equity across your site because you actually don't know what's in there. It's not linked internally well. And it's not organized in any fashion that makes sense, and there's not any inferred meaning by the folder structure.
So I guess one thing the folks at home can do: go to your primary location page on your website. Just find the page with the map. It should have a map. You should have a page with a map. It should be for your primary location, your primary office. And if you see, say, I don't know, Milwaukee divorce lawyers, and that is your URL, and there's no folders at all, and there's no slashes separating out the folders on the site, then there's probably. Now, if you see something like Wisconsin /locations /Milwaukee, you've probably got great structure. Now you got something.
Yeah, love it. That's super helpful. Moving on to number 3, which is use location and services in key URL slugs.
I beat you to the punch here. Yeah, this is exactly what I was just talking about. We want to avoid trying to put all of the things in the URL itself. So yeah, this is your location page. It's got a URL of Milwaukee divorce lawyer. That's too much. It's doing too much work. You're missing opportunities elsewhere, and you don't have a nice structure. Because we also don't want multiple pages. We don't want to repeat in the URL structure. I guess that would be new. Tony, any thoughts here?
No, yeah, I would agree. Like if for that page for Milwaukee, for instance, well, the way we have it structured is, Wisconsin locations, Milwaukee. We also have subpages under Milwaukee that talk about the different types of things we do in that office, and that's kind of like military divorce, divorce mediation, things like that are underneath at that tertiary, at that like essentially, I think it would be a 5th level. They're not super important pages. They're just giving contextual relevance to the main location page. So our primary, traffic page is Milwaukee. So like we have a folder structured appropriately. So what we have under our divorce page is like how to file for a divorce. And then underneath that might be the general one for Wisconsin. I think we have several pages under there that are how to file for divorce. So it would be divorce, how to file, and then we have a Milwaukee County, and that page is about how to file. If you just infer the domain, it's how to file divorce in Milwaukee County. You just look at the URL structure; it's very clean, and you can infer what it's about, and then you get to that page, and that's exactly what it's about. So it's just a very organized outline of a book.
What that allows you to do is to create a lot more keyword opportunities kind of across the different services and practice areas. You're not sort of limiting your location page, which is extremely useful and relevant, where you're going to get a ton of qualified traffic. You're opening up other keyword opportunities by not trying to like put it all into one place.
That's great. We talk about duplication a lot. Tell us how this is affected in the URL structure.
Okay. Well, if we keep a nice, tidy URL structure and we're kind of following best practice where there is hierarchy and everything kind of relates back to, where are you? What do you do? We have a really logical structure. You can kind of easily read it. There are some elements of a URL that can be a little trickier to kind of parse out. And these are things like they're called parameters and query strings. And what you tend to see is a question mark followed by a bunch of questions. Now, sometimes those are good for tracking ads, ad clicks, that sort of a thing. They have a purpose. We need to make sure that those are correctly canonical so that search engines don't view that as a separate page. So these query strings can look like a separate, distinct page. It's one of the functions of just URLs. Basically, all your characters matter in that URL. And if you're not careful about it, you can be accidentally duplicating a page just because you have one page that has maybe different query strings that aren't properly canonical.
A good example that some of our more advanced clients are using and have implemented. Usually we see the canonical setup well on the site, but sometimes it's not correct. Is people will put in parameters behind links from their GBP, for example, so that they can see what traffic is coming from the GBP. So they'll say like, sterlinglawyers.com/Wisconsin/location/Milwaukee, but then they'll also put a parameter string behind it to tell me that this is directly from the GBP. So if I don't have a canonical setup on that, what Google's going to think is that's a separate page, and it's going to load just like it always does. But now there's 2 pages because I didn't set the canonical up, and like it's great from a tracking perspective. But if I didn't do the second step, which is make sure all query strings were included in the canonical of the URL, now Google thinks there's 2 different URLs, and it's going to split the authority between those 2. And now I'm going to rank worse. So it's like a good practical example that we see often.
Love it. Okay, final point, and it's a big one, is plan URL changes carefully. We deal with a lot of clients who have gone through a rebrand, or they've consolidated 2 domains into one, or they have 2 separate law firm domains and they want to bring it into one. And we find that the redirect strategy is often a miss. Is this all based on URLs, Nick, or give us a little more context here?
Yeah. Well, you probably have heard of a 301 if you've had a website for a long enough time. They're 301 redirects, and they allow us to say, "Hey, this page has moved. We've moved this page." In that case, your URLs. That's how the search engines know your website, your whole website, that page, the content of that page, all the metrics associated with the page, the history of authority of that page has a key in a database, and that key is that URL. We don't want to make changes around that important of a field lately. Whenever you when you change a URL, inevitably, almost invariably, there is some loss of information, some loss of data, some, like, you're not starting over necessarily, but you're not starting from where you were. So that happens at the URL level. Now, if you move your whole site, if you move many pages at once on your site, you are going to experience a period of time where things are not quite what they were, even if it's one-to-one. And we look to minimize that as much as possible, keeping the content one-to-one, not mixing up maybe a URL structure move with the chance to do a whole lot of rebranding. Let's change the title. Let's change the content. Let's change things. We want to limit those moves as much as possible to be structural first and to be as one-to-one as possible.
Yes, if you are thinking about migrating your website or moving a bunch of pages, please call someone in the know. I can't tell you how many tough calls we've had with prospects who have lost tons of traffic overnight because they did stuff incorrectly.
A good way to like humanize it for everybody that doesn't kind of work on websites is I think everybody generally knows what a planogram is at a store. This planogram is like literally how a store is laid out. Where are the aisles and where do the products go? If you change the way the store is structured and you don't complete it, and like some of the aisles that you create, you end up with like, blocks on both ends of the aisle. You can't get to any of those products. And all of that is essentially equity that you are now missing because you haven't done the 301s correctly. You haven't thought through the restructuring well. So like, just imagine a store where all of the aisles have stuff in front of the aisles and you can't walk through the store. Like all the products are there, but you can't walk through it. So like, there's really no value. And that's essentially what you're doing. You're like removing the value from the store because you can't buy anything. All the products are there. All the equity is still there in the database from Google's perspective, but it isn't going anywhere. It's not accessible to anything, and you've restructured your site and you haven't completed the work. So it's really important to do that because if you don't, you're going to miss out on what you used to have. So just like when a store gets redesigned and we're all kind of annoyed, we're like, oh, this was over here. That's kind of what Nick is talking about. Like for a period of time, you're going to be like, the search engines are going to be figuring out where stuff went. And once they figure it out, you'll rebound. And if it's restructured well, it's going to improve your sales just like it would with a good store planogram. So that would be my relatable inference on this specific topic.
Well, very good. Put the limes where the limes go.
Exactly.
Gents, I appreciate it. Love this. Appreciate the time and insights. We will look forward to seeing you again very soon.